Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's Mark here, and in this short episode, I want to talk more about a thought experiment, or at least a questioning that you may bring to your own jazz guitar practice. Welcome to Jazz Guitar Lessons, where we help guitarists learn jazz faster, express themselves more fluently, and have fun along the way. My name is Mark, and if you're looking to learn jazz, form better practice habits, and especially if you enjoy a French accent, make sure to subscribe. This is something I encounter a lot in my daily teaching and coaching of up-and-coming jazz guitarists. Question is, hey, I'm doing something that's quite simple in practice, but isn't jazz supposed to be complex? Isn't the end result really like convoluted phrases and interesting trills and triplets and really complex techniques? And my answer is, well, yeah, but let's think about it. If the end result of a craft of any sort, and I will put sports in that category, like say the game of basketball or the game of soccer or even hockey, the end result is a really refined, complex set of skills that is coming together. Does this mean necessarily that the practicing of it has to be complex and convoluted? The short answer is no, right? A basketball player can drill on a single thing, say a dribble, between the legs for 10 minutes in a row, or someone may decide to be at the three. I don't even play basketball, but I'm saying the 3-point line, and just throw balls at the goal, at the rim, like forever. The player may do 100 repeats or 1,000 repeats. Does this mean that the game is not complex? No, of course the game has strategy, and you gotta pass the ball and do all sorts of things. But in practice, in trying to elevate the skills, it does not mean that the skill building exercises have to be in and of themselves complex, which is why whether we do martial arts or jazz music or classical music, again, the devil is in the details, in that we have to drill very specific foundational elements. Do karate, which again I don't practice, but it's still punching and kicking and blocking and spinning and whatever, but it's really tiny movements, tiny, really important foundational elements that come together. So for jazz, yes, it might be that Wes Montgomery is flying over like 7 different chord shapes in that bar during his really hectic solo on that blues. However, if we look at it, he's just still playing on one dominant chord with a bunch of variations. So in my teaching philosophy, I love to refer back to this to a tree trunk versus the leaves. So the tree trunk would be dominant chord. Hey, it's B flat blues, right? And the leaves are passing diminished, ascending arpeggio. Oh, octaves, Wes Montgomery style. The rhythms may be that there's a bunch of things that happen in the solo that's very complex, and the way it's put together is like, wow, it's a flash. It's like we say in French, un show de boucan, which would say like it's a light show, right? It's smoke and mirrors. But in the end, there's still 4 quarter notes to the bar. It's still a bar 4/4, right? So this is more of a reflection to look at your practice and go, well, am I trying to do too much or too many things that are complicated? And the remedy to that, if you say yes, well, it's to add constraints, to look at one thing you're working on once. If you're looking at a tune and saying, well, I got to pass all these arpeggios and scales, and I have to use this inversion and this and that, you're going to do none of it very well. And I call this constraints practicing, meaning that there should be one area of focus, one way we could use our awareness, which is limited, onto that one thing we're trying to do better. It's unfortunate because we think we should practice everything at once. I published a video on YouTube about this, citing a PhD where they have these studies about playing video games that are complex. So we can play the game while all of the other elements are complex, and focus on one thing. So narrow down our focus for a session or 2 or 3, and then do it again on another area of focus, another. And the end results, scientifically, in studies, has been proven to be exponential. It is crazy. So it's better to spend 3 days working on scales, 3 days working on arpeggios, rather than trying to do scales and arpeggios in one go in the same solo, and then you wind up saying, well, I'm not getting it. It must be me that's the problem because I'm defective, because I know these scales and they should come out. And they don't. So the idea, again, for this very micro podcast is back to the basics is never wrong, ever. Unless you're bored, unless you're not pushing yourself where you're just playing things you can already do. So there's this fine line of finding the resistance point, which brings you to flow. So you're not bored and you're not utterly challenged, and to keep moving the needle like that. And you will eventually tackle more and more complex progressions. So crawl before you walk, before you run. On that note, I'll let you go. Thanks for listening to the podcast. See more goodies in the description, the free jazzguitarlessons.net blog, the Pinnacle Method download, our free fellowship group, which you can join for free so you can explode your skills and hang out with me and thousands of students. Talk to you soon. Take care.